Hi, let's look at Revain, ticker symbol REV, currently at 1.3 cents, a market cap of 1 billion and a market rank of 85. So this is the 85th largest cryptocurrency. Now, usually on this channel, I go a lot into the charts of different cryptocurrencies. I don't just look at the US dollar chart. I also compare how the crypto is doing versus Bitcoin, how it's doing to competitors. This video is going to be slightly different because I've got a message here. Revain is quite a large crypto, right? It's in the top 100. And the business model of this project is to be kind of like a decentralized Yelp. So a review website that's based on the blockchain, that's based on Ethereum. This is an ERC20 token. And obviously technical analysis is important, right? It's important to look at the charts. And obviously this chart doesn't look too pretty, but we might argue that, there's some kind of consolidation going on. So maybe it makes sense to catch the falling knife, to bet on this going back up again. But what I find interesting, even though this channel focuses on technical analysis, is to also always do at least very basic fundamental analysis. And I just want to show you a few quick ways to do this. So first of all, what I normally do is I look at Google Trends and I check how active is actually the project searched for. How much activity do we have around this? Is there maybe a long-term rising trend where people search more and more for that project? Maybe there's some kind of user adoption happening. And usually you can estimate user adoption simply by looking at how much it's being searched for. Now, if we look at Revain, we can see there's only a few spikes happening. So these might be just news-driven spikes. We can also see most of the searches are happening in Australia. And what's interesting here as well is that the related topics, they are all focused on cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency topic, coin, prediction, Bitcoin. All of these are the related topics. So it looks like everybody who's searching for Revain is not really looking at the actual usage. There's no search term here that says something like Revain review or Revain recommendation or Revain rating or anything like this. Nothing that would indicate an actual usage of this. It's simply just speculation, simply just cryptocurrency investors that search for it, and this also just happens in spikes. So this is the first red flag. Before you start investing, try to gauge the actual usage. Now, second, if the project has a website, and that's very often the case, look at that. So this doesn't look too bad, right? A review website, you can search for something. But now if we just scroll a bit further down, okay, this seems to still be cryptocurrency related. Fine enough, but let's look further. What we can notice is suddenly there's like the same kind of profile picture everywhere. That's already quite strange. We've got reviews that are like 8 hours ago, 15 hours ago. So there might be like one review every few hours or so for a market cap of 1 billion. That's a red flag. And then just look at what's being reviewed. Here, look at this. One of the most convenient and reliable whatever. Dear all, be sure to use this BitConnect client if you do not have a wallet. So this guy is reviewing BitConnect 16 hours ago. That's very unlikely, right? First of all, a BitConnect review is already shady in itself, but then there's no way that this person has written this 16 hours ago. BitConnect is dead, and rightfully so. So there is already very little content, and even that content seems to be completely fake. So I don't want to cast shadow on this Revain project, right? Maybe I got it totally wrong. Maybe they've got another website that's being built. Maybe a huge marketing plan is coming up, and I don't know, and I don't have enough visibility on this. But simply making this quick search and looking at this kind of quote-unquote fundamental analysis should be a completely red flag. And this is very quick to do, right? If you've got a new cryptocurrency project that you're interested in, do these basic checks. Make a Google Trends search, look at their website, see if there's anything shady going on. And I don't make this video just to bash the project here or to make everybody blame the team for anything or whatever it is. I just make this video for you to learn this approach, right? This is a cryptocurrency in the top 100. This is a large cryptocurrency, and there is trading for this happening as well. In the last 24 hours, $3 million have been traded in this coin. But looking at the website, looking at Google search, this looks completely dead. At least that's my impression here. So there's really no further need to look at technical analysis, to try to time the market, to think that this has consolidated and to make some profits with this. This is hyper dangerous. So just because you're investing in, say, the top 100 cryptocurrencies doesn't mean you can skip your due diligence. Top 100 doesn't mean at all that you're getting something with substance or something that has at least a chance of winning over a market. Maybe for the top 10, maybe for the top 20 coins, you can be relatively safe to buy something that's not completely outrageously bad. But already at 85, you see these kind of coins. And so just be aware of this. The lower you go on your market cap, the more risk you potentially take, and you can mitigate some of that risk by simply doing due diligence, by simply doing basic fundamental analysis. And so that's exactly what you want, right? You want potentially more reward because you go lower on your market cap. You don't just stick to Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano, but you go lower and lower on this list because potentially the lower we go on market cap, the higher the fluctuations, right? And so when we just look at the top coins, right, we get like less than 1% movement, 3%, 6% movements. But once we go down this list, we suddenly see 20% movements, 8% movements, 17% movement. So there's more volatility going on. Right now, the market isn't too positive, so all of these numbers are negative, or most of them. But when there's a bull market, the lower you go on this list, you tend to also get larger profits. And that's what you want, right? You want high reward. And so when you want this high reward and you take on more risk, try to eliminate as much risk as possible. And the first step to do this is to simply do very basic fundamental research like this. You can obviously also search for a project within YouTube. There's people who do this kind of fundamental analysis, but I'm pretty disappointed actually by a lot of the bad content that's being put out there. So in the end, it always makes sense to trust yourself first and don't just take a random YouTuber's word for whatever cryptocurrency is being pumped, even if it is in the top 100 coins in terms of market cap. If you enjoyed this video, please give this a like. YouTube will then help to spread the word. And if you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish a video every single day. And last but not least, we've got a Telegram channel, the Bitcoin Strategy channel. You can find us by either clicking the link in the video description down below, or you can simply search for Bitcoin Strategy channel within the Telegram app. Would be great to see you there as well. See you next time. Bye bye.